Good day, everybody.
Good
Thank
day,
you for
everybody.
joining
Thank
us
you for
on
joining
yet
us on
another
yet
episode of
another
the
episode
podcast.
of the podcast.
Today we have a phenomenal
Today we
guest
have a phenomenal
all the
guest
way
all
from
the way
Namibia,
from Namibia,
and I'm
and
here with
I'm here
Mr.
with
Maxwell uh,
Maxwell
Nghidinwa, all the way from
Nghidinwa,
Namibia, and
all
he's
the
going to
way
be
from
sharing with
Namibia,
us
and
today
he's going to be sharing with us today
grain farming to
from
digital
grain
market,
farming to digital
and he's just going to be
and
sharing with us
he's just going to
how
be sharing
he
with us
leveraged
how leverage
e-commerce agricultural
e-commerce
activity. And so
cultural.
I'm going to read his
And so I'm going to read
profile
his profile.
so you get to know him a bit better, and then we proceed. Mr. Maxwell is a seasoned horticulturist with a master's in international horticulture. He graduated with a summa cum laude from Lissabon University in Germany. He's the founder and acting CEO of Fudlink Agricultural Technology, CC, a Namibia startup building a digital marketplace that connects farmers, vendors, wholesalers, and consumers, tackling the challenge of market access for small scale farmers. With over a decade of experience, he also manages the Sandingo Green Scheme Irrigation Project, a 320 hectares state owned from producing wheat, maize, and vegetables through advanced irrigation systems. In addition, he leads the Sam Farms Project CC, a consultancy supporting farmers to shift from livestock horticulture to with innovation tailored solution. He's passionate about agriculture and community empowerment. Mr. Maxwell is also a champion of art and music, reflecting his holistic vision for sustainable development in Namibia and beyond. Mr. Maxwell,
Mr.
welcome first.
Maxwell, welcome.
Great to be here. Pleasure. Pleasure so much.
Fantastic. So we're going to delve into the conversation.
Fantastic. So we're going to delve into the conversation.
So my very first question to you is,
So my very first question to you is,
as read on your profile, you manage
as read on your
two
profile, you manage 2
hectares of grain farm,
hectares of grain farm,
also one in agri
also
startup.
one in agri startup.
What inspired that journey for
What
you? How
inspired that journey for you? How
Yeah. All right. So, first of all, just a small background, just to appreciate the story. So, when I first went to university, I didn't want to study agriculture. I applied for a scholarship in Egypt, and I was going to do a bachelor degree in economics, international economics, and then arriving in Egypt, they had, I don't know, they probably misplaced my application, and for some reason, I ended up in agriculture, and it was horrible. The first semester, I kept fighting with the university to kind of change me, and but I ended up in Alexandria, the city on the Mediterranean coast, and it was a beautiful city. And when I started asking to be changed, they wanted me to go to Cairo, and Cairo is dusty and overpopulated. And then I there was a death in the family. I lost my father at some point, and I came back to Namibia. And when I came back, something told me just to go to the Ministry of Agriculture and just have a conversation with some of the directors. And I met a lady called Johanna, Miss Johanna. She's now retired, and she told me about the green scheme projects. And she told me that the government at that time they were being developed. And she said, "No, look, I'll say, pursue a career in agriculture. We're developing big farms that will need to be managed by Namibians, and seems like Namibian youth are just not interested. So I'll encourage you." And so when I went back, I've always been patriotic. So I said, okay, you know what, I'll do that. I'll do that. So fast forward, after my university, I got it. My first job was in a green scheme. So not the current one that I'm managing, but it was another one. And I came in as a production manager. And at that time, skills were just scarce, especially in the horticulture sector. And so that's how my journey began. And then I stayed there for 7 months. My bosses were very impressed, especially in the Ministry of Agriculture. And then they promoted me and said, look, we can offer you a better position where you can actually learn from a South African white manager who was managing Sikondo at the time, so that I can be his understudy. And in 2014 September, I started here at Sikondo. And now coming to the Agritech, in 2019, I went to do my master's in Germany, and then COVID hit. And COVID kind of reaffirmed two things. First, that agriculture is a resilient industry. It's an important industry, and that we cannot underestimate it. We cannot look at it like a primitive sector for our countries. And that's what most African countries are doing. They look at it like, yeah, it's okay, we need to eat, but we need to look into, all the fuel, green hydrogen, yeah, all this technological advance. Yeah, and COVID just came to remind us, you need agriculture, you need to eat. And most of the sectors closed down. And for me, that was a powerful statement that I was in the right industry. Then the second thing was, it was amazing how digital marketplace thrived during COVID. So in Germany, farmers, especially cooperatives, were basically selling their products online, and it was just so efficient. How you could order products, and then the next 3-4 hours things are being delivered to your house. And that's how the idea started. And so I started developing a business plan, because I knew that in Namibia there were a lot of challenges because of COVID. So by the time when I graduated, I was offered, by the way, a PhD scholarship, but I declined because I was just pregnant with this idea. I was ready to go. So I come back home, and that's when the curtain was like removed from my eyes. It was like open, and I realized how smallholder farmers were just struggling to access the formal market. So it was not just about the efficiency of moving products from farms to the market. Is just the bottlenecks that farmers were having just to get their products to the formal market. And so when I came back from Germany, my boss had retired, so I took over the farm, Sikondo Irrigation, and that's when I actually also had first-hand experience of the challenges of actually finding markets for our products. And so I started developing a team of web developers for us to start, really, to develop a concept, but also to do a pilot. And then, like everyone, like the saying goes, from there, it was just history. So we've been in existence since 2021, but at the same time, I had to disclose the company because I'm a government official. I disclosed it to the minister and executive director, and they don't have a problem for me to develop these companies because it provides a solution to our smallholder farmers.
Fantastic. So for you, seeing the need and then feeding them.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So how do you see the connection between farming and this digital and how you see the shape the future of agriculture in Africa?
One thing that we need to realize is e-commerce has not really taken off like it should in Africa. And when I was in Germany, most payments were cashless, and most transactions were cashless. And I know for sure that these winds of change are going to come. So whether we like it or not, farmers will need to adapt. Farmers will need to go digital, and farmers will need to really learn new skills on how to trade. And so when we're developing the concept, it was quite difficult because even in Namibia, we have a few challenges such as mobile data being very expensive, and then not network coverage is not always in all the corners of the country. So we have a lot of farmers that are isolated, and also access to smartphones. And so but what we've learned from our pilot phase is that we still have to start regardless, and so we have to start, and we have to do a lot of awareness. We have to do training, and to help the farmers. What we're also doing is developing an SMS kind of technology that is linked to our website, and using AI, you can basically tap star and a number and hash, and then using AI, you'll get asked all kind of questions. So you don't need to have a smartphone and internet. But then so the software will ask you, do you want to buy or sell, or do you want to transport products? And then you press 1 or 2 or 3. And then after that, if you want to buy, it gives you all kind of options of products that are available on the market, on our marketplace online. And so, but to answer your question, I think there's no way we can escape the reality that e-commerce is coming. And for us, it's really to strategically position ourselves as a startup that is going to be relevant when those winds of change come, and when our government start to, to put legislations and policies in place that will support the digitalization of trading. So yeah, and I've seen it firsthand in Germany. It's coming. It's just that we are is it laggards, right? I think it's laggards. Is
Yeah, late
adopters.
Yeah, we are late adopters. But you guys are even much better than Namibians. Nigerians are quite trendy. Yeah, you guys are quite trendy. Namibians are the worst. We take our time, we take our time. Yeah, so definitely, and the way I see it's going to impact the agriculture sector is, I think it's the way these Mobi pays have impacted trade.
Yeah.
And they have spearheaded the revolution of people using tech to trade, but not only to trade, to loan money. So I think that's how it's gonna impact, and it's digital. We are going to basically digitalize the way Africans do business, the way we buy chickens or livestock, or fresh produce from our open markets, but that will just be online.
Fantastic. Okay, so
Can you sort of walk us through
e-commerce platform
e-commerce platform works?
Yeah. Yeah. So first, the farmer has to create an account. Creating an account is for free. The farmer is our client, and so everything, the way we have designed the mobile app and the website, it's really catered for the farmer. So we prioritize the farmer, and we both see the buyers as our customers. So both the farmers and our company see the buyers as our customers. So after creating the account, they have a dashboard where they can complete the process, where they put their account number, their bank details, and then there's some final things like physical addresses of the farms, so that we know exactly where to pick up products, and then they're ready to go. They can list their products. And the website has an algorithm that already adds our commission, which is 10%. And so once they put the number, what appears on the marketplace is then it's inclusive of our commission. And then all they have to do is regularly update the stock levels, because we are not guaranteeing that all products are going to be bought online. We are just an alternative for the farmer. And so some farmers are well networked. They have a very good network of buyers, and they don't need us, and which is fine. But we are catering for those who have two issues. One is they are struggling to have market access. Two is they have troubles to move their products from their farm to their market. Yeah, and as simple as that. Once they've done that, then they just wait and to wait for an SMS to say somebody has bought their products.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
really good.
That's really good.
Yeah.
So for you, managing
the
Sikondo green scheme,
Sikondo green scheme,
Yeah.
hands-on experience
hands-on
on a
experience
large scale.
Yeah.
on a large scale.
Yeah.
So what lessons
So
did
what
you
lessons did you start
in
from that?
that project?
That
And what
project.
lessons did
And what lessons
farmers apply
farmers have
to probably yield and even
probably yield and even profitability?
I didn't hear the last part of your question.
What lessons did you pick
What
out from
lessons
that?
did you pick out from that?
And
Yeah.
what lessons can
And what
smallholders
lessons can smallholders
sort of pick out from that experience to apply to
to
build
apply
and
to build and
profitability?
Yeah. All right. So when I started managing Sikondo irrigation project, yeah, I've learned a lot of lessons. One of them is to be to be a good planner, and to always start with the market. You have to start with the market. So you can't just because it's summer, then you wanna just plant all the summer crops, and that's what most smallholder farmers do. They also imitate each other. They like to see what the neighbors are planting, and that kind of influences their cropping programs. But it's always very good to start with the market. You do a proper market research, and then based on the market information that you get, you then plan accordingly. Secondly, what I've also learned is plant populations. Our farmers don't plant according to the standard plant populations per hectare, and some can grow. I'll give you an example. Here in Namibia, the standard population for watermelons, for example, is about 10,000. That's the maximum because it's a creeping plant. For tomatoes, it can go as far as 20,000 plants per hectare. Then cabbage, you can go also to 15,000. And most farmers can plant. Some smallholder farmers, they plant maybe 1,000 only in 1 hectare, and that already is going to affect their profitability because they're not utilize the land, each square meter to the maximum potential. And so that's one of the lessons that really helped me to be profitable, especially with fresh produce. Just finding a good market, and also data, keeping record keepings of your sales from the previous season so that it can actually inform your next season. And since doing that, just being deliberate with the team, always emphasizing record keeping, we have seen a huge improvement in aligning our planting programs with the market, but at the same time, intensifying our production with ensuring that our plant populations are fine. Then lastly, I don't know about in Nigeria, but in Namibia, farmers are risk averse. They are very risk averse, and for quite good reasons. One, market access is a problem. so they are scared. They're scared to produce a lot. And the second one is capital access. They don't have access to capital. And so to try to boot fund, your own, planting programs while you are not actually sure whether you are going to make a sale or not is a huge issue that we are trying to address as Fudlink. And so what we have done also is trying to do what we call information sessions, where we invite farmers and we do trainings, just technical trainings. We keep it very simple, very basic, but we really address the technical things that they are not doing right, with the condition that once they attend the training, they have to sign an agreement to sell the products to Fudlink. So that's also one a way we have used to onboard farmers, and we have seen a huge impact on our farmers, those who have also been attending our trainings. And some of these trainings, I'm actually just using my knowledge and all the lessons learned from Sikondo. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that. When we started out this conversation, you had talked about you applying for a particular course and you not being giving that course in Egypt. And so somehow you were giving agriculture and you just, decided to like horticulture and then decided to like do that, right? In this present dispensation, we have so many young Africans that shy away from like agriculture or farming, right? And how can digital platforms like Foodlink make agriculture sort of more attractive and even profitable for the next generation? How do you foresee that happening?
Yeah, no, agriculture is getting very exciting, and it's becoming a very complex sector because for the first time we are seeing this synergy between technology and agriculture. So I think there was a huge delay for that to happen, because only the big companies like John Deere, who manufacture implements and tractors, were usually the ones coming up with innovations in the agriculture space. But now it has changed, and it's just such an exciting time, and it's very attractive. I think if you come at Sikondo, you will not just get the impression that you are coming to a farm where they grow potatoes or wheat. You'll come and find implements that have precision farming. For example, our irrigation systems, we are actually transitioning to remotely controlling our central private irrigation systems. So I can actually, control them from my mobile app while I'm sitting in my office. And then we are also starting to implement drones for applying, for broadcasting fertilizers, but also for applying chemicals, because tractors, they are also compacting our soils. Whenever you're doing all these operations, they compact the soils because the tires are quite huge. And so I think that's what's going to attract the youth, is just to see how cool agriculture has become, and how we're accommodating all kind of skills and professions. So we have IT engineers on our farm. We have mechanical engineers. You have agronomists. You have soil scientists, and I think that's what makes it exciting. But on the other hand, I think it's important to create awareness to the youth. So we have to be very intentional and very deliberate in helping them to see why we need the youth to have an interest in agriculture. So at Sikondo, we have two programs. One is a program for primary school, which I called Agriculture is More Than Planting a Seed. And that's just the name of the program. And they bring from grade 3 to grade 7. And the purpose is really to plant a seed, to give them an additional option. And just to kind of have that in mind, not just to think about becoming doctors and nurses and teachers, but to know that teachers, nurses, and doctors, they have to eat 3 times a day, and it's the farmer who feeds them, and yeah. So then the second program is a program where in the last years we have seen, especially in the constituency that I find myself, we've seen a rising number of our students in grade 11 and 12 failing, especially with some of the scientific subjects such as mathematics, physical science, and sometimes when they sit, because we live really in poor communities where we are farming, and they don't have money to go and pay to some institution to rewrite their subjects. And so what we've done is create this program where we offer them to come and work, and so that we can pay for for the subject they need to rewrite. But what we are really doing is pulling them in, so that while they work, they get exposed at different workstations, at net shades, and the majority of those, believe it or not, that go and rewrite subjects, when they come back, they say, "Look, I wanted to do this, but I'm now actually the vocational training, studying agriculture, and thanks to you because of of the opportunity we got." And yeah, and I think that's what we need to do: create opportunities for the youth to get exposed. Also, we need to help our youth. No one is going to help them. If you sit at the seat of influence, create opportunities for the youth to really have access to information.
Fantastic. I like how you have sort of carved out programs and initiative that would help also address that. Personally, next month I have a virtual conference that is tagged agriculture beyond the soil, right? And the essence of that conference is just to unveil the various opportunities within agriculture for the African youths. And on that day, I'll be launching my first agriculture book. It's called Agriculture Beyond Famine, A Pathway to Economic Prosperity. The goal of that book is to invite a lot of African youth to also see that there's so much potential within agriculture, that regardless of your skill set, there's something you can do within the industry. So if you're studying agriculture, because in Nigeria we have a lot of cases of people studying agriculture and then going to the banks to apply to be maybe customer service rep or marketers or things. And so for me, I want to be able to help people see that if you studied agronomy, there's a place for you. If you study agricultural extension services, there's a place for you. If you study crop production, animal production, you should come into the sector and utilize it. And just like you said, I like how you talk about, like, in your own farm, you've made it more technological driven. And so people see that they want to be part of it. And so those are like some of the things that on our own end, also trying to do for Nigerian youth. So far, we've been able to have, I think, 32 universities across Nigeria sign up to be part of it. We're aiming to have at least 2,000 people on that summit. Because I believe that if we have that, imagine the ripple effect that that will have in the coming days, just having to reorientation. So I think there's a lot to do with reorientation, which is also something that you do with your program. So kudos to you on that. So my next question to you at this time is, just beyond food production, you sort of champion like art and music, right? How do you believe creativity and culture can work alongside agriculture to empower our communities?
Yeah, no, I think holistically speaking, we have to enjoy life. In agriculture, for example, it's a very labor intensive. It requires a lot of energy, and I believe that we have to have a balanced life. And I myself, I play guitar, I write songs, and this is just on a private level with my family. But I think I'm very artistic. I love poetry, I love music, and what it does, it makes us not only to have a space where you can actually disconnect from this intensive sector and just kind of relax, which is also needed. It's very good for our mental health. And it's very good for us to also use other compartments of our brains, to be creative. So what we have done is we have a small school where we do guitar lessons and piano lessons, and because we are in a very rural area where people don't get exposed, and that's also part of developing the capacity of our people, and actually transforming our people, transforming our culture, not instilling only the work ethics, but also instilling creativity, so that we kind of shape our culture, and our identity as people. And I know that music is a big deal in Nigeria, but just look at how it has given several youth also opportunities to be on a global stage, and also for their voices to be heard. So yeah, I'm always gonna be one feet in the agriculture space and one feet in music, and but of course on a low key. You can't also just you have to carve your identity. So I definitely find my identity in agriculture, but I don't mind working in the background to promote creativity on the side.
Fantastic. So thank you so much for sharing that. I like how you are sort of holistic in your practice. So as much as there's also work, there's also an opportunity to ease out and relax and just ensure that every other part of your brain, not just the critical part of it, every other part of your brain and your mind is also being utilized. So thank you for sort of sharing that. So my next question to you at this time is, if you could sort of redesign agricultural value chain in Namibia, over the next 10 years, blending, grain farming, digital trades, what would that ideal system sort of look like? What would you do?
So first of all, we want access to information. So we have to mainstream information, market information. So we have to digitalize information so that farmers are equipped, not only to know last year which grains or vegetable products did well, what were the prices, and so that we are actually perfecting our system, our value chain systems. So I think most of our farmers, they farm in the dark, and because of this lack of information, and because of that, it's always risky. It's like a vicious cycle that's repeating, where we're either oversupplying the markets, or we're undersupplying. So, and secondly, is really establishing uh, affordable logistic services um, to help move our products from the farms to various regions, even on a larger scale, even in SADC, in Southern Africa. So I will basically use the leverage of technology, of e-commerce technology, to establish that, to establish logistic systems that are efficient but are very affordable, especially uh, through partnership with various transport companies that actually fund certain deliveries, but then on their return they're empty. But if you can come up with a solution where you integrate that, and make those logistic companies visible on an app, to say, this company is delivering tires, but it's on this day it's going to be coming back empty, but then they register that in the app, and then everyone is aware. That will be powerful, because one thing we've learned in Fudlink is that people are the ones who move the most. So if you have to stand at a police roadblock, and there's one just very very close to the farm, and then you just stand there and you collect data on where people are going, you'll be shocked on how far people are driving on a daily basis. So integrating an Uber system for that allows people to earn an income but at the same time, especially those with pickup trucks, where they register on an app and say, look, we are driving, I'm driving to where, if you need me to pick up these products, then please highlight me. And so I think that type of system is going to be very cost effective, but it's also going to create employment. It's going to be this ecosystem that is supporting the agriculture sector. And then lastly, I think the value chain, what it's also lacking is infrastructure, such as for cooling vegetables so that we don't disrupt the cold chain when products are coming from the land, but especially when they have to be delivered in longer distances. Sometimes it reduces the value of especially vegetables. Grains, not so much, but especially vegetables is a huge issue, and it creates losses, but also a lot of wastage. I think we have to be very deliberate in helping smallholder farmers in having access to infrastructure that they can't afford by themselves. So this is really where governments have to step in. Then lastly, establishing now this value chain, respecting the value chain. In Africa, end consumers can come to the farm and buy, and then vendors can come to the farm and buy, and then they go in town, sell, and compete with the retailers. And so it's like very messy. So we have to really establish a value chain where end consumers know from who they buy, vendors know from who they buy, and then farmers are also being very intentional in supplying wholesalers, and so that there's a bit order, and in this order, what it does, it brings efficiency.
That's really good. And just hearing you talk about this, I think that I think that is sort of a place where, for countries that are sort of hacked these things, other countries that are yet to get into that should sort of learn and then leverage that. For instance, like in Nigeria, we have a company called Fresh HQ. So what they do is they sort of partner with like code hubs to help farmers have like in Nigeria we have something called tricycle. It's like a little small-ish, but it's like a cooling stuff that some farmers can have access to. So they can always have that when they're trying to like sell their product. So in case they're not able to fully sell out the product, they'll always have that to ensure reduce the rate of wastage, right? There's also that system. That's like a company here in Nigeria. They do that. They partner with, and also like companies that they are just like the code hub, like the code room for products. So farmers could sort of farmers could have use those kinds of things. So we sort of have those kinds of systems here. Although most of them are privately owned, not by the government. They're privately owned, so not by the government. But I like how you talked about it. I think the most interesting idea you sort of talked about was the Uber kind of thing. So people drive in because you're still going there anyway, but you can sort of earn from it and just create a level of efficiency as well. Wow, that's sort of innovative. I agree. Really, really innovative. So another question I have for you at this time is, um, what would you say to someone listening on this call today that wants to get involved into agriculture, whether like they're like investors or young people? Where would you say they should sort of begin their journey from?
Um, Look, agriculture is one of the best sector because it's very repetitive, and I would like to encourage people that because seasons come every year, same season, which dictates most of the crops. So there's a lot of repetition, and with repetition brings, expertise, experience. And so for those who are starting and they feel like, look, I don't know anything, I don't have an agriculture background, just start. If you have a genuine desire to get into the agriculture sector, just start. And what will happen is after 3 years, if you are really learning, you will actually realize that it's very repetitive. And because it's repetitive, you'll just be accumulating knowledge. So the second one is um, it's easy to sometimes have access to land, but you have to do soil samples. Most people enter farming blindly, and I'm not talking about livestock farming. I'm specifically talking about production of grains or vegetables, and they come in blindly and they start already fencing, buying irrigation system. So don't spend a cent until you've done your water samples, your soil samples, so that you really understand, the value of your soil in terms of nutrition, especially the NPKs, your nitrogen levels, your phosphorus and your potassiums. And once you have that report, it should give you this confidence that, yeah, because the soil is the most important asset for any production system. And then lastly, I'll also say um, the rule of thumb is horticulture products need to be within a 30-kilometer radius of the market that you desire. The further you are, the more you're going to spend on transport, because they have a short shelf life, and most smallholder farmers make losses because of such inefficiencies. Your farm is very far, and you're producing tomatoes or cabbages or spinach, and by the time when they come to the market, they're wilting, and then you give the customer actually a leverage to negotiate and to bring the price down. So our rule of thumb is usually beyond 30 kilometers, then you can start looking into fruit trees, and beyond 80 kilometers, you can start looking at grains, because grains, you can store them for a longer period of times, and there's no pressure until you find a market. Um, we're also living in a time where there is a lot of grants opportunities, especially in Africa. And don't underestimate your ideas. Some people don't like to apply for grants. They don't like to take a chance, especially grants. If you see there's a grant for 50,000 US dollars, just apply. And and I think it's also about being organized. So have a business plan already, work on a business plan already, let it sit there, get all the documents that you need so that you can actually be eligible for grants. And so that when grants come, it's not really a hassle to and it's not stressful. All you have to do is just maybe complete the forms, and which sometimes is required. Yeah, I think Africans have a lot of opportunities, more than many other people in other continents, and we should utilize these opportunities to really put ourselves at a better place. So yeah, I think with those few encouragements, that's what I will say. Yeah, and keep being hungry and keep learning. Agriculture, you have to keep learning.
I like how you emphasize the fact that as Africans, we 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 have so much opportunity onto us right now because the world is looking towards Africa. And I like how you talked about just having to put your house in order, which is get the documentation, get knowledge, know what's required, and have those things readily available. And so when you see those kinds of opportunity, then go for them. That's really good. My very final question to you at this time is, sort of looking ahead, what's like your bold vision for African agriculture? And how do you think like young people can sort of strategically plug in or position themselves to sort of plug in into that?
Mm. I think my bold vision is to link our markets, to have access to various products from everywhere in Africa. And the only way to do that is having um, very user-friendly digital marketplaces that can also have multiple languages. And that's what we want with Fudlink. We want Fudlink to be it's an Africanized. It should be an Africanized app that is not intimidating. It can be utilized in Kenya, in Zambia, because the languages are already encrypted in our software. So you can just go and change the language. Because the truth of the matter is our behaviors as African, even in terms of food, is similar. And yeah, it might differ here and there, but fufu, we call it ishima in Namibia,
Oh wow.
and there are so many versions of food from West Africa that we have, and I think creating such a platform where we can have access to various type of food and have the logistic capability to deliver this food will be just mind blowing. It will actually knit Africans together. It will bring us together in so many ways, and not only on a level as farmers, knowing that they have access to the market in Namibia, and our farmers having access to Zambia or South Africa or Angola, but it's just this vision to really also utilize some of the instruments the African Union is putting into place, like the African Continental Free Trade. And I can't wait for that to happen so that we really can start interacting and trading the way we are supposed to. So with Fudlink, we want it to be an African app. We want it to be a very indigenous app, just like the MobiPay solutions that is probably in Nigeria, where people are not intimidated to send money. And that's just exactly the way we want it to be. It should not be too techy. It should be very, very, very Africanized. And the thing that comes very close to what we want is if you have experience buying on eBay, you know how raw eBay is. Someone selling shoes, and what you see is what you get. That's basically also how we want. Then also the vision is also to really create a network between our farmers, creating festivals that can be rotated in Africa and other countries, where we talk about our challenges. We talk about farming, and talk about some of our specialties, maybe farming with potatoes, and we are just transferring and exchanging knowledge and information with each other. And for me, that's really what I want. I'm a Pan-Africanist at heart. I believe our forefathers, such as Kwame Nkrumah, they saw that the only way we can really be successful is by really finding ways to unite ourselves. And we need more of such initiatives, and we need more of companies and startups that are actually uniting Africans. Yeah, so that will be my vision for.
Fantastic. I like that. I think 2 weeks ago, I was speaking to a friend from Cameroon, but she's currently in Ethiopia at the moment. And she talked about the fact that, she was sort of craving some sort of home food. However, she couldn't have access to those kinds of things in Ethiopia. And I was like, huh, how come? There should be like, cause every country should have like African store where at least somewhere where you're from, you should be able to get that. It's like, nah, I'm just stuck with rice. That's the thing she's familiar with that she can eat. I was like, oh, okay. But just hearing you say that, brought my mind back to that conversation that we've had. And I think it would definitely be a great thing that, regardless of wherever you are, if you have a particular African delicacy or thing you want to access through your platform, that should be possible for the person. So yeah, and I also like the idea about the cultural festival thing that encourages knowledge exchange. Knowledge exchange, that would be really really great. It's an informal way, but it's also a very effective way as well. So yeah, I look forward.
Yeah,
I look forward to.
and and by the way, we do have Nigerians. I have Nigerian friends born and raised here in Namibia, and they struggle. They struggle to have access to Nigerian food, and so it's a real need. You might underestimate it, but it's a real need when Africans are living in other countries and they don't have access to the food that they're used to. So yeah, we should try to make that happen.
Definitely, definitely. Well, thank you so much. It's been an insightful and interactive conversation with you today. We've sort of learned a lot about your country, Namibia, and also learned about the agriculture scene within Namibia as well. And like I said, the work that you're really doing with Fudlink is highly commendable. And I like the future vision that you have of it. And it's my earnest desire that in the coming days and years, that all those visions materialize and we're able to have access to those solutions across the continent. So thank you so much, Mr. Maxwell, for joining us today on the podcast. Thank you.
The pleasure is all mine. Thank you.
So guys, thank you so much for staying with us from the beginning of the session till the end of the session. It's been quite insightful and interesting. Just learning a lot from Mr. Maxwell, all the way from just learning a lot from Mr. Maxwell, all the way from Namibia. And so, guys, like I mentioned on the call or on the interview, uh, we are having the summit. We're having the summit, and the summit is happening in September, specifically September 19th, is the African Integrative Agricultural Network virtual summit. So that means you're able to access the summit from anywhere you are in the world. The only thing you need to do is sort of register. So I'm going to have the flyers and the registration link in the description of this video and also on the page as well. So you could go there and register. The summit is 100% free. And so why are we doing this? We're doing this because uh, we believe that the more access people have to relevant, vital information, the more they can make better decisions, particularly within the agricultural sector. Personally, one of my missions is to see that much more youths within Africa are interested and actively participating in agriculture. And so that's why we're having the summit. The summit is tagged Beyond the Soil, unveiling the possibility within agriculture for African youths. And so this is a summit that is geared towards every young African that is interested in agriculture, you're studying agriculture, it is something you want to be part of, right? And so, guys, do take out the time to register for it and be part of this movement. Like I said earlier on the call, it is Africans that will unite together to solve African problems. And just like Mr. Maxwell is doing, he has also seen a need and is feeling that need by solving the problem with uh, access to market for the farmers in Namibia. You could be on the call and you're hearing things and you're just being inspired. We need more Africans to take up the baton and provide solutions to the pending challenges that we have within the continent. And so that's the reason why we're having the summit. And so you could come and we're going to be talking about around um, subject matters across precision farming, digital farming, um, as well as exportation, agro-business, just a lot that is happening within the continent. And so it's something you want to be part of. So, guys, thank you for staying from the beginning of the episode till the end. And join us next week for another exciting episode with another exciting visionary within the agricultural space in Africa. Do have a blessed weekend.